Absolutely amazing. I should have started the video with this. Hello everyone, David here. I hope you guys are doing great. Welcome to another video. In this one, I'm gonna show you the latest release of one of my absolute favorite companies out there. UVI just came out with a new reverb. It's called Bloom, and this thing is alive. It might be one of the most musical, ear-pleasing aesthetic reverb I've ever heard. It's super easy to use and to set up. You will see it has a less technical approach and it favors more the creative side. It features one of my favorite things, especially for reverbs, the universe view, which you can also find in UVI Spark, another amazing reverb. But without further ado, let's try it. Let me show you how it sounds. Hello everyone, welcome back to MixPlus TV. Hope you guys are having a great day. Before we start, as usual, check the info box down below for free plugin special discounts and offers, and of course link to UVI Bloom. If you want to book mix and mastering with me, go to the website mixplustv.com. In there you can also find all the mix and mastering courses, and if you want to access the exclusive video library of in-depth mix and mastering videos here on YouTube, click the join button, become a MixPlus TV member, get all the perks, and if the videos are helping you, please consider using the super thanks or grab some merch. Whew, let's get to the video. Here's our clean and sleek GUI with this greenish blue color, which I really like. Easy to see controls. And we have the big rainbow colored frequency spectrum for the decay, which is interactive. In fact, you can see the little hand and I can move between lows, mid and high. And this is interactive, meaning I can drag with the little hand the decay for mid, highs and lows, right? Which is really, really cool. And this is one of the things that I was talking about at the beginning. Setting this reverb is less about numbers and more about the visuals and what you hear. We have an input and output level meter here on the sides of the frequency spectrum, and our main controls are size, shape, pre-delay, the modulation controls, which is depth and rate, the rise knob, which is grayed out in this mode, we'll see that later, the low decay knob and its corner frequency selection here, the overall decay, and when you turn this knob you can see the decay represented here in the frequency spectrum, the high frequency decay knob and the crossover frequency for that. Roll off is self-explanatory, rolls off the top end from 20K down to 2K, mix knob and a little trim knob next to it, width control, diffusion, and one cool thing especially for the mix knob is that you can lock each and every one of these parameters. This is very useful, for example, if you want to scroll through presets, but you want to keep your mix the same, let's say 60%, you can lock this and you can scroll through all the presets. By your mix, you can see the little lock sign is locked to where you leave it. And you can do this with all the controls. Diffusion, same thing. You can lock it, you can lock the shape, you can lock the size, and then scroll through all your presets here. And those controls that you locked, they will stay in the same position. That's very, very cool. Bloom has two ways to visualize our decay. The linear one with the frequency spectrum like this. And then if we click this button, it switches to the spectral decay visualization. So this is the difference. You can see your reverb right here, visualize like this, and when you move the high or the lows you can see that the visualization changes, of course, or you can switch back to the linear frequency analyzer style spectrum like this. But the cool thing that I was talking about in the intro is the universe view. But the really cool thing that I was talking about at the beginning is the Voyager room. So you see this button right here at the top in the top bar. If we click this, this is not just a visualization. This allows you to morph between presets, and you can zoom in and you can see, as I keep my mouse button pressed, I can morph and blend through presets. You can see all the parameters change at the same time, and I can get in between presets. I can zoom in and zoom out. I can navigate this visually and not worrying about settings. So what's the decay? What's the pre-delay? What's the crossover frequency for the lows? You just go and morph in between presets, and this is really, really cool. This is my favorite function of Bloom, and like I said, Spark from UVI has this too. It's so very useful. You can close your eyes and browse basically through preset seamlessly just by dragging your mouse, and it's really, really cool. I'll show you that in action in a second. Let's go back to factory default and the normal view, because we have arguably the most important feature of Bloom, which is the 3 different engines. We have a single reverb. This is self-explanatory. It's just a single reverb. Let me play it for you. Already the tail of this reverb is so freaking nice. Mind you, this is the sound without the reverb. Alright, this is the single reverb engine, and then we have the parallel engine. This basically runs two slightly detuned reverbs in parallel, making the soundstage so much bigger. Check this out. Alright, and you can see that now the rise knob that we saw at the beginning was grayed out in single mode, now is active. This controls the rise, how far in time the reverb is gonna rise up. If I put it all the way down, we have a very short rise. Alright, you can hear that the sound comes and then the reverb rise further and further away in time as we turn the rise knob. Very, very cool. So the parallel engine gives you a richer sound, and that's why they call it the reverbs that breathes, because you can hear it really feels alive and it doesn't have that metallic sound that many digital reverb has. Just default settings, and there's so much more that you can do with this reverb. Then we have the serial engine. This runs the two slightly detuned reverbs instead of in parallel, in cascade, so one after the other. This one gives you the biggest sound stage and the most washed out sound. Very, very cool for soundscape, guitars, maybe vocal throws. Listen to it. And this thing sounds absolutely beautiful. I will try on different material. I'm using this because it's simple to hear the reverb, but so you can hear how the different engines, single, parallel, and serial, completely change the sound of the reverb, right? Let's do a quick pass of all three. Single. Okay, and notice that my decay is the same, everything is the same, so just changing the engine gives you a much richer and bigger soundstage and reverb sounds, while the single is more for maybe more invisible ambience or more tucked in. The parallel and serial are more when you want to feature the effect. We also have a freeze mode. This is self-explanatory. I'm just gonna do it here at the end on the last note. All right, notice one thing. I moved the width knob, the diffusion knob, and the roll-off knob because if you want to do a throw by freezing the reverb, these controls, you can automate these controls in your mix and change and let it ring as much as you want and change in some parameter. It makes really, really cool effects. Our last functions is the taps. So basically, in layman terms, a reverb is just a series of many delays, one after the other, right? So the taps, and we see if we click the menu, we have several: flat, neutral, tail, rising, and depth. Changes the level, the distance, and the tone of these early reflection and taps, all these delays. So in order for me to make very clear the difference, I'm gonna pull down the diffusion here and use 100% so you can hear the different taps in action. We start with flat. So as you can hear, obviously, the more you turn the diffusion up, the less you hear the separated delays, okay? That's what the diffusion is. It kind of blends those taps, okay? So this is why I turn it all the way down so you can clearly hear the action of the taps. So the flat and the natural are basically used when you want to actually glue and somewhat fuse the reverb with the original sound. Almost like when you don't want to hear the early reflection and you want just the tail to attach to the original sound, while the tail, rising, and depth are more for, again, featured reverb, when you want to detach and you want the reverb to either be heard or to create a certain ambient around the original sound. I'm gonna go back to like 50% and a little less mix, and I'm gonna switch again, and you will see that some of them, like for example the rising and the depth, activate the tap knob, which gives you extra control on these taps. So let's start flat. Sounds absolutely beautiful, and you can tailor it so easy to any sorts. Let's play with it a little bit on guitars. Notice one thing, and I was very, very impressed when I first tried it, because immediately just the name, the look, and the fact that it's capable of creating this very washy soundscape, and also the fact that it's not marketed as a room reverb or a hall reverb. So it's not marketed as a specific algorithm or creating real spaces like a room, a studio, a hallway. So immediately I thought this is gonna be great for, long washy reverbs and not for small spaces. Instead, it sounds so musical. That's why I said this is one of the most musical reverbs that I've ever heard. Because when you go down in size specifically, you can really create this what they sound like a real ambient, and it sounds very organic. It sounds very legit. Listen to it. I absolutely love it, and I was not expecting to like it for small type spaces, and it's really cool. Drum, another thing that I was very, very surprised with natural taps. This is a type of reverb sound for drums that I work so much to obtain with other reverbs, because you always get the early reflection, that kind of flam, and it's always a balance between having a tail on a drum and having that flammy sound at the beginning, at the attack of kick and snare. Listen to how organic this sounds. Okay? And I really like how the tone of the reverb and just overall the action, right? When you change the size of the room, it changes the early reflections and what frequencies get enhanced and what frequencies get excited in the reverb. And I'm using it in insert. This is not even on a send where you have even more control, right? But while I think this reverb is incredibly versatile, we'll do vocals also because it might be one of my new top 5 for vocals. I think it really shines on synth. Let's try that. That sounds so freaking cool. I could literally go through 15 synths trying this because of how good it sounds. I'm gonna do at least another one. It sounds so good. The tail are so smooth. How many times you got frustrated because reverb sound metallic? There's no trace of that type of sound in here. It's so smooth. It sounds really, really good. And let me show you the preset, the Voyager view, what you can do. So I'm just gonna zoom in a little and lock my mix and then morph in between presets. Of course, you can create crazy special effects as well with this. This is why I'm stressing how versatile this thing is. And last test, I want to do it on vocals, maybe acoustic guitar.
You see this world that we're living in. I see all other life just giving in cause of you. You're so hot that you could turn sun blind on the mysteries of love and fear. She's got me working through the night. You see this world that we're living in. I see all other life just giving in cause of you. You're so hot that you could turn sun blind.
All right, or we can create one of those very small ambient to keep in the background.
You see this world that we're living in. I see all other life just giving in cause of you. You're so hot that you could turn sun blind.
right? It goes, when I bypass it, it goes on the left because I'm using a mono to stereo, but you get the idea. I think this reverb is really, really cool. I mean, UVI, I can't think of any bad plugin they ever put out between Relayer, Dual Delay X, Spark Verbs. I use them all the time. I actually have some presets. If you have those plugins, you know there's the MixBus TV presets on that. The last one, I want to do acoustic guitar because, again, it's one of those elements, I think, that it's kind of challenging at times to find a reverb for them, especially if it's strumming, because the early reflections are tricky, and I think this one really blends well. Wow, did you hear the difference when I went from natural to tail? Holy, I'm playing you again.
Let's do it.
Absolutely amazing. I should have started the video with this. Did you hear the difference that the different tap modes make? Now you can really understand, I feel, why depth is called depth. I'm gonna switch again from natural to depth. Listen to how this effect alone positions the guitar in a whole different space.
Let's do it.
Insane. Especially when you go from depth to natural. Now you understand how natural is the natural mode. And this is just single mode, because for general purpose, I think you will probably want to use that in single mode for general mixing, like a reverb on a guitar or something like that. For special effects and more, like we said, washed out kind of reverbs than the parallel and serial. But I am kind of blown away. This last guitar, this last examples, if I was not in love with this reverb enough, it just crazy. This is it for the video. I don't think I have to say anything else. It speaks for itself. This was UVI new Bloom reverb. The link is going to be in the info box down below. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, let me know what you think. If you want to book mix and mastering with me, go to the website. In there you can also find all the mix and mastering courses. Become a MixBus TV member to access the exclusive library here on YouTube. And if the videos are helping you, please consider using the super thanks or grab some merch. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe. See you next time.